Spring practice at Alabama is finally here, and we're getting a look at some of the players that have changed their numbers, guys that are coming in. What numbers are they going to wear? And when your uniform consists of numbers and not logos, that's important because the way you look depends on that number that you wear, which is pretty cool. We're going to talk about that. Former Hillcrest star Jayden Hopson is coming back to football. He's going to be at Alabama. And some other things going on at the university. So let's get into this right now, including one guy that went to the combine and just absolutely pumped iron, as Arnold Schwarzenegger would say. Let's pump iron. All right, guys, like, subscribe, thumbs up. Let's get this thing started today. Get it out of my mouth. Roll Tide, everybody. Bama Tailgate YouTube channel brought to you by Pearl River Resort. Let's go. Roll Tide, everybody. Mick Gillespie here on the Bama Tailgate YouTube channel. Great to see you guys today. Like, subscribe, thumbs up at Broadcaster Mick on the socials, and appreciate all of you for being here today. All right, this is the time of year where you get that list and you're like, okay, what player is wearing what number, right? And I'm like, okay, let's go through this, right? I guess right off the bat, the guy that you're probably wondering about, Jalen Mbakwe, was number 9 on defense. He's going to switch to number 3. Daniel Hill from number 20 to number 4. Jalen Hale got hurt wearing number 14, coming back wearing the Julio number 8. Justin Jefferson back one more year wearing number 10. And just some other notables. I mean, you can look this up. Isaiah Horton transferring in from the Miami Hurricanes, the U, is going to wear number 1. Cam Calhoun, another transfer, wearing number 9. Kelby Collins, who transferred in from Florida, wearing number 17. And, the list goes on. The other guy, Nakia Hill-Green, transferred in from Colorado, linebacker, wearing number 41. And then Cam Dewberry, who came in from Texas A&M on the offensive line, wearing number 71. Some of the freshmen were interesting. We're excited about A.K. Deere, the running back out of Mississippi, is wearing 0. Dijon Lee's going with 5. Keelan Russell, number 12. Well, it's a Bama number, isn't it? Ivan Taylor, 13. Duke Johnson, 15. Latsier Brooks is wearing number 17. You get down the list, right? And you see Derek Meadows, wide receiver, wearing number 30. And you're going, okay, that is odd, right? Why would a wide receiver wear the number 30? This was a guy that when I talked to Caleb Cunningham, who was a 5-star, Alabama was all over him, had a commitment to Alabama, ended up flipping to Ole Miss. He told me, he's like, hey, I loved Alabama, but Derek Meadows really loved Alabama. And they were on the same trip together, and Alabama ended up with him, which I think is so cool. Yeah, right. You're in the right spot, man. We flipped him from LSU. He was a Notre Dame commit for a minute, but he's wearing the number 30 for a really important reason. And I think it's worth bringing up. He's wearing the number 30 because it's in honor of his dad. His brother. His brother was wearing number 30, and it's an honor to his brother that was killed in a car accident when Derek was 6 years old. Devin was 15. He was a passenger in a vehicle that was hit by another teenager while out in Aurora, Illinois. And he wore the number 30, Devin Meadows, as a sophomore wide receiver on his high school team. So he said, hey, 30 means a lot to me. And so that's pretty cool. Hey, wearing that to honor his brother. Welcome to Alabama. And we'll be pulling for the Bishop Gorman High School star that's coming to Tuscaloosa, and how cool that is. And apparently Jeremy Bernard was like, hey, you got to wear this, man. Like, to honor your brother. I mean, and the number 30, hey, look, when Julio Jones came, man, he's wearing number 8. Like, wide receivers were 88. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, wide receivers wear 8. You make it happen with the number you wear. So we'll be pulling for him, as he makes his Alabama trek. All right. Alabama adds Jaden Hopson, offensive tackle, to the roster. You guys might remember him because he was with Mississippi State. He got a scholarship from State out of Hillcrest High School, and then he transferred to South Alabama, and ended up walking on for Alabama. So he'll be a walk on. Gives Alabama some depth. He transferred to Southern Alabama in 2024, but didn't really contribute at all. He left the team during fall. He was going to drop out of school and do the workforce, and now he's back in. So who knows? Maybe the guy ends up be a great story, right? Hollywood-made movie if he ends up making the NFL after this trek, right? But came to Alabama over Southern Miss and West Virginia, and obviously Hillcrest right there in Taylorville, Alabama. He was a 3-star in 23 and was the 61st best player in Alabama and the 103rd offensive tackle. So he wasn't, I want to say, like a top recruit, but hey, look, he gives Alabama some depth. And at the same time, anything can happen. Sometimes you do your best work in life when you take a step back, get out of it, look around, and then you're like, you know what, man, I kind of miss doing that. And then you get back in there, and then maybe you don't put as much pressure on yourself. When I was at the Senior Bowl, I had a chance to talk with CJ Dippre, and found him to be a really good dude, right? And there he is right there. That's me talking to him. Well, how about this? And I didn't look at him and get the vibe that he was going to go to the NFL Combine and just rip bench press. But this guy bench pressed 225 in Indianapolis 32 times. That's the second best bench press that an Alabama player has had since they've been doing the Combine. And Evan Mathis, who is a guard, was the only guy that did better. So pretty impressive, man. 225, 32 times. Hey, that's going to get you a look or two, right? The guy transferred to Alabama from Maryland at tight end. And, it sets a record. They love that stuff. What are you doing out there? Well, I'm catching some passes. I'm pumping some iron. I'm getting ready to go out on the field and show that I'm a beast. Well, Dippre, who's going to be missed at Alabama, second best Alabama player as far as bench press goes, just pumping, pump, doing his thing. So congratulations to him, man. And he was a great dude. And I really enjoyed talking to him, and I hope the best for him. A guy that loved being at Alabama. Like, hey, man, I didn't grow up around college football like this. Came down and was like, blew his mind. He's at Maryland where there's like half-filled stadiums. And then all of a sudden you come to Alabama, everything you do becomes kind of a big deal. So practice starts. We're going to get an opportunity to really check out what's going on with this team. A couple of things to keep an eye on, and we'll do our best to do it. But, who's going to be the quarterback? That includes, how many reps is a quarterback going to take? Who's going to win the team over? You feel like Ty Simpson goes in being that guy, but could Austin Matt push him? And or maybe number 12, right? Keelan Russell wearing the number 12. But that's something to keep an eye on with spring practice starting. I'd say the second thing to me is what Bama looks like up front. I'd say both sides of the ball up front. Offensive line last year, they were inconsistent. This has been a trend since they were the best offensive line and won the national championship in 2020. Can they get back to being a dominant force up front? We'll find out, because their best offensive lineman's about to go into the NFL draft. But with that said, there's a ton of talent there. I really believe in Coach Cap, and I think that Alabama could turn the corner on that side of the ball. On the defensive line side of the ball, what's it going to look like up front? You got to love LT Overton, but you look around and you're like, you know what? There's some experience. There are some guys transferring in. What are they going to contribute? And how's this defensive line going to look? So I think both sides of the line are definitely something to keep an eye on. I'd say what Bama's going to do on special teams. It's going to be so different this year because Bama's, short on special teams players. James Burnip was another guy ran into the Senior Bowl. You don't have Graham Nicholson anymore. You don't even have Keelan Hibbert, your long snapper. So, I'm curious what that's gonna be like for Alabama. We've seen it with Nick Saban teams. What special teams can mean to winning and losing. You miss some field goals. You're not confident there, and then all of a sudden, you're losing games, and a lot of these games are going to be razor thin just because of the competition. And then the other thing to me is checking out, who looks good coming back from injuries. What's that going to look like? Keon Sabb, top of the list to me. And then Jalen Hale, we didn't see him last year. I know he's got a new number, and he's going to come in with a new attitude, right? He's going to be ready to be healthy. He could have made a difference last year. We thought he was going to be the catalyst at wide receiver, and there's other guys too. I don't think Deontay Lawson's going to play. Cole Adams is someone that had some injuries that kept him out, but I felt like he was right on the verge of turning the corner. So all of that stuff matters. That's what spring practice is all about. And then the freshmen and the guys that transfer in, how are they going to take advantage of this opportunity to blend with this staff and all of that stuff. So anyway, that's where we are right now. Thank you guys though for hanging out. I know got a couple things that I want to talk about, and it starts with newlifeart.com, promo code Bama Tailgate. Take advantage of this promo code because we got you covered. 25% off Heisman Heights. That's the Devontae Smith catch that won him the Heisman, the play he made against LSU. And then Crimson Redemption. That was Jalen Hurts running it against Georgia. 25% off when you get the checkout. Use that code Bama Tailgate. At the beginning, say, hey, I heard about it on Bama Tailgate. And then at the end, click on that Bama Tailgate. All right, roll tide, everybody. Thanks for hanging out, and always presented by Pearl River Resort over in Philadelphia, Mississippi. We're going to talk more about this coming up at Heavy Hearts right now. Longtime friend and colleague, and honestly, the guy who made this show possible, Ryan Griffin, passed away suddenly on Friday night, and we're heartbroken, man. Just from a personal note, Rhino was just the best person that you could be around when he believed in you. He had your back. We're going to talk more about him later this week, but if you guys knew Rhino, if you were at our show, there's a chance that he would be there, but he worked with Pearl River. He's the guy that believed in us when we were trying to build this show up, when we hit number one on Saturdays. He was as excited as anybody out there. He's been in our corner since day one. So, when we think about Pearl River, we always think about Ryan Griffin, and, our hearts go out to his boys and Kim and his entire family, and we miss him so much. We're going to talk about him later on, but hate to talk about that today, but wanted to pass that on to you guys in case you knew him. So anyway, thank you guys, and roll tide.
To Pearl River Resort.